Hey everybody, BigStew here today, and we're talking about Newton's third law of motion. That's the one that's called the law of action-reaction, meaning that for every action, there's an equal but opposite reaction. We can also say for every force, there's an equal but opposite force. Now, I wanted to talk to you today about weapons. Not guns, not knives. We're taking it back just a little bit. All right. We're talking about things like catapults and trebuchets. This is a very, very basic model of a catapult. And the way it works is you push down on one end and flip it up. If we were in a battle, let's go back to Game of Thrones time. If we were in a battle, this little thing right here might have a bowl or some sort of a holding container. And you might put rocks or flaming cloths or people you didn't like, put them in there, and you would pull this down using a rope. All right. The same amount of force that you pull down with is going to be the same amount of force that moves upward when you let go of it. Okay? Trebuchets are the same way. The thing is with a trebuchet is the top goes all the way over, and they take a rope and they pull it back. All right? And when they cut the rope, whatever is in the bowl flies out. It looks, and this is not the best drawing in the world, but it looks a little bit like this. All right? Let's say that, you've got some flaming boulders in your trebuchet. And when you cut that rope right there, that flaming set of boulders is going to fly up. And it's going to be the same amount of force flying forward that you used to pull it down and back. Well, let's fast forward a little bit. We're in the middle of a pandemic right now. And I want to go back to another pandemic several hundred years ago called the Black Plague. All right. Now, I mentioned this before. This was carried by fleas. Well, fleas would bite the rats and carry this infected blood, and then they would bite people. And when fleas and mosquitoes and things like that bite, sometimes the previous bite blood gets mixed in with the current bite blood. Well, this was a big deal. And to kill mice and rats and things like that, people would just run around with clubs and things and try to beat them. Well, if you've ever tried to chase after a small animal that does not want to be beaten, they're pretty fast and they can crawl under small things better than we can. So we decided to build something called a mousetrap. And the way a mousetrap works is it has a little something that looks like a piece of cheese, or you can actually put a piece of cheese to trick the mouse because, with the exception of Mickey Mouse, they're not that smart. All right? And it's got a part that you pull back like this. Now, I'm not actually going to set this mousetrap because when I was playing with it yesterday, I popped my own thumb and it hurt. So we're going to simulate. This is the limitation of a model. All right, so we've got our little piece of cheese here. And when you pull back on this, you have to use a certain amount of force. Well, if a mouse were to come and nibble on this little plastic piece of cheese, or you can get somewhere you can put a real piece of cheese. If the mouse were to come and nibble on that, then when all of a sudden, when this mechanism is tripped, it snaps, it kills the mouse, and now you have to make sure that you get the dead mouse out before it starts to smell. That's a whole nother deal. All right. But Newton's third law, equal but opposite. It's all about balance. All right. Most things in science, most things in the universe, they want some kind of balance. All right. We talked about balanced and unbalanced forces and how there's movement if the forces become unbalanced. With this, there's movement because it's an opposite reaction. All right. It's going in a different direction. It's going in the opposite direction. When I blew up the balloon and the balloon flew off, the balloon went one way and the air that came out of the balloon went the other direction, the opposite direction. All right. Balanced and unbalanced forces. when you go play on the swing set and you're swinging back and forth on the swing. All right, equal but opposite. All right, you're going in one direction and then going in the opposite direction, unless you run into something or somebody or fall out of the swing. You know, sometimes this happens. America's Funniest Home Videos is loaded with people who have issues with gravity. All right. Check out some things in your house where you've got equal but opposite forces. All right, get on the swing set. Play with some clothespins. If you have a mouse issue, set a mousetrap. Just be real sure that the thing that does not get caught in the mousetrap is your finger. All right, have a good one.